Hello again. If you're just starting with these videos, we started out with the skin tone video and then we moved down to her clothing that I did on video 2. So this is video number 3 if you want to start from the beginning. If not, I'll quickly go over what we're doing. I'm working on this little La La Land Crafts girl. Her name's Marcy Ballerina. My friend Irina Blunt is the artist of these. They're super cute, and they offer a lot of fun area to color with your Copics or any other coloring that you might do, whether it's pencils or watercolor. But they're great to teach techniques on. I'll actually be using some of these in my classes just because it gives you so much area, so you can really work at those markers in your blending. This video we're going to work on her hair. I'm going to use one of my favorite combos. It's E25, E31, and E50. It is not the only hair color combo out there. There are hundreds of them. I'm sure if you play around you will find some that are your favorite. I like this one, especially when I'm doing dark colors. I like this one, this color combo when I'm doing dark colors on my image. Sometimes I think if you go too light on the hair it kind of washes out from the dark intense colors you've used throughout the image. That's not a rule, it's just kind of my rule of thumb that I do. If I had done lighter colors on her, I might have gone a little lighter on her hair. The fun thing with this color combo is that depending on how much dark color you lay down, you can really vary the color of her hair. So it could be dark brunette to a very light brunette, just by varying how much E25 you use. Hair is probably one of the #1 issues I get or questions I get asked. Really just break it down. The technique is the same. If she didn't have lines in her hair, the way that I color her hair when I show you would be exactly the same. You just have to break it down into light sources. We had done a center light source throughout the image, so you want to carry that through from the top of the image to the bottom of the image. Same thing with her hair. So the center sections of her hair are all going to be light. When you work with a head image or anything that might be round, you need to keep the blending, the highlight round. So my highlights are going to be curve around like this because that's how her head curves if she was 3-dimensional. Of course we're working with paper, but we want them to look dimensional, and that's what kind of will make them pop off the page. So my highlights are going to work this way, right across the center. And one of the things I tell people in class is to pick up your lightest marker, which in this case is E50, and mark where you want that light to hit. Okay? It doesn't matter, you're not hurting your image, you're going to color over it anyways when you're blending. This just kind of gives you a guideline so you don't overcolor. Same thing on her bun. I know that it's going to kind of, this highlight is going to kind of come in through this area and curve down. That just gives me a small guideline. Then I can start with my dark color and start adding in the darkest areas. As you get closer to the crown of the head, it's always darker there. Again with the bangs. Bangs curve naturally. Anything that curves, again, use your hand, cup it, however you need to use it. As something curves, where it curves around and down, it starts getting darker down here. Same thing with the bangs. The tips of the bangs are going to be dark. Closer to the head and around the back side. I like to turn my image, so I apologize when I'm coloring. And this is just the base coat. It doesn't mean that I can't come back and add more dark tones. Coming from the top here. Now hair is one of those things that I think is always a personal preference. You're the artist, you're the hairstylist. So if you want the lines in the hair, go for it. If you want it softly blended, same thing. It's up to you at this point. The top of the bun and around the sides are going to be darker. And just down here at the bottom a little bit. Now E31 is a color that kind of just melds all of these together. So now I'm just going to work on a couple small areas at a time so I can blend them. Add in my E31, and here's my E50. Again, picking up the tails. Work in small sections, don't try to do too much at once. You'll find that it blends much easier for you if you work in sections. I know it's easy to get carried away when you're coloring, but trust me, I speak the truth, that this will help you, okay? Again, I want to keep this roundness in the hair. I want her to be a little bit darker, so I'm bringing that dark color down just a little bit more. And then I'll go to my next section. Plus, when you work in sections like this, layer by layer, it's you won't go too dark, because you can come back in and you can add more. If you don't add too much at the beginning, it always gives you room to come back and add or subtract any of the color. In my classes, I always hear a lot of grunts and groans and people saying, oh, I ruined it, oh, it's unfixable. To me, almost nothing is unfixable, and in my classes I show you how to fix it. If you think you went too dark in the middle, your highlight's not showing anymore, darken this up, darken that darker color up, either by going over it again with E25 or taking the next darkest color, which is E29. She may be a little darker brunette than you had anticipated, but the image isn't ruined. So, you know, work with what you have. Don't get frustrated. This isn't rocket science, I promise. It's supposed to be fun, not stressful. And you have to work at it. Hair is one of those things you just have to keep working at till you get it how you like it. And little by little, it starts coming together. When I'm coloring hair, I usually, my stroke, let me move this off, is more like this, because I want a little bit of that lined look in my hair. You may want more, you may not want any. Again, like I said before, it's kind of up to you. Nothing I say is set in stone. I don't really believe I'm an expert at anything. I just show you what I do, and if you like what I do, then you can follow along. If not, then do your own thing. I don't claim to be an expert in Copics. I just like to use them. I love them a lot. I like to teach others how to use them, but I certainly don't think I'm the #1 Copic artist out there. There's lots of other people who can color really well. I just hope to get you started on the right path so that you're not frustrated. You don't hide them away in a closet, and God forbid you don't throw them in the trash can. So if I've accomplished those things for you, then I'm happy. And how wide do you want that highlight to come around in her hair? That's up to you as well. Just depends. Sometimes I want it really wide. Sometimes I want a little bit thinner, like I've done here. Again, you get to be the hairstylist. I encourage you to pull out People magazine or Google some pictures of some movie stars. I always say that when we color our images, we should be coloring superstar hair. And yes, superstar hair may not look just like our hair on our heads, but it is always very glossy, very healthy, and it attracts light very well. And if you pull out any of those images on Google or from your magazines, you'll see that when light hits glossy, shiny hair, it will bend and arc very light right across it, no matter what hair color it is, whether it's black, blonde, or brunette. So, if you want to test me on that, I have a whole file full of hair that I've pulled out from my magazines, because yes, I am a People magazine reader. I have been since I was 10, I've had a subscription that long. It is my fun reading when I'm tired of the hard reading. And I can easily pull out a picture that will match any stamp image you might have. And then you just kind of keep fiddling with it until you're happy with it. I'm getting pretty happy with how she looks. I like the amount of light that I have in there, and I think if I go wide it matches the rest of the image nicely. It doesn't fade out. On her tights, I will zoom in. I just want to quickly, I did these off camera. I brought in some of the B's that I used, a very light B00 and then B quadruple 0, and then I used R00, R00, which I think is a great color for when you're doing something like tights or a dress that may be sheer. When it's sheer, you still get a little bit of illusion of the color, but you still see skin coming through. So R00 is much lighter than the skin tone I've used, so it allows it to come through but still look like there's a little hint of kind of a shiny blue tight on her legs. And that's how I finished that part up. And go wide again. So here she is, all finished, hair, everything. Now I might go in with my white highlighter pen. I use the Sharpie poster paint pen. It's an extra fine tip. I'll put the link down at the bottom of the screen here for you. They are my favorite. They're very nice, matte white. You never get kind of that clear look. It's my favorite. Doesn't mean it has to be your favorite. And then I may just come in here and put a few highlights. People always ask me how I put the highlights in. I don't really have any rule other than I try to hop from side to side, and I always use an odd number. That's really all I can say for how I do this. It's nothing really scientific, but I don't like to add too many. I don't like the eye to be distracted. But that's it. She's done. And the last video I'm going to show you how I do a watercolor looking background with the Copics. This is something people have asked me to do for the past year and a half, and I apologize. I don't really like shooting videos. Not that I don't like to teach everyone, but I don't really like to hear myself. So when I edit a video, it's very painful for me to listen to myself. So I procrastinated for long enough. A year and a half ago, I promised that I would do it. So the next video, I will show you how to do that. Thanks for stopping by.